No, and is it a real beach background?
I'd like to call to order May 24th Economic Development Committee meeting.
All right. And we will do a quick roll call. Alicia Neff.
Here.
Adam Royds.
Here.
Eric Brown,
Here.
Steve Langley,
Here.
Kelly Kabilski,
Here.
Carol Noker, Erica Winston,
Here.
and then Dan Hartman.
Here.
All right.
Nice.
Not fair.
All right. And then the next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the April 25th meeting.
Oh, there's Carol. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Are you asking?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And the next thing on the agenda, we have a guest speaker from the University of Missouri Extension, GK Callahan. This is in follow-up from discussion from the last EDC meeting. And I believe he has some materials to hand out to everybody.
Do you have one more?
Oh, yes.
She didn't get one in the middle.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I can't count. It's too late in the evening.
All right.
Well, so hi, everyone who do not know me. My name is GK Callahan, and I'm the engagement specialist for the University of Missouri Extension Urban West. And the Urban West, as you can see on the report I just handed out, is Clay, Jackson, and Platte County. How many, I would love this to be more interactive than just me talking at you. So how many people here know what extension is and what extension does? Okay, so got three yeses. Yes, you do. So I'll kind of back up on my talk just a little bit. You know, part of the extension comes from the land grant university. So every state has a land grant where the federal government gave dollars and tax money and land. And the charge of the land grant university is to have extension of their university out to the residents of that state. So in Missouri, there's an extension in all 114 counties plus the city of St. Louis. And in our extension, each county usually has an extension office. We're in Clay County. Clay County has an extension office. It's at Vivian and 48th in the Clay County Annex, if you don't know where that is located. We provide a number of services from Mizzou, and they're research-based knowledge to basically help people make informed decisions. And so our job is not to do things for people, but really bring research to you to help you guys improve the quality of your lives. And that's really the charge of what Extension does. But to be more specific about that, the services and programs we offer are nutrition and health. We have programs in workforce development, horticulture and agriculture, our VITA financial literacy tax program. I'm sure many of you are in Smithville know the 4-H youth development program, which is also part of Extension. We also have community development and community health. And those are kind of the buckets that we work under. In our region, we serve about 35,000 people a year. Of those 35,000, about 10,000 of them are in Clay County. In Clay County, we do that with a staff of roughly 7 people when we're fully staffed. And so we serve a lot of people in Clay County. I'm just going to highlight a few of the programs, but what I handed you today is our annual report. So each extension office has an extension council similar to the one I'm presenting to in front of here. Erica is actually on our extension council. She's one of our new board members, and so is Dan, who's joining us via Zoom. The extension council helps govern the money that comes in from the county, from the commission, but also helps us decide what sort of programming the county really needs. So extension councils are kind of the voice and ears of what we do. This annual report we produce every year is part of what we do with those funds and what we do with the federal dollars that we get. So kind of give everyone an idea of what's happening. I'll just give a highlight of some of like the programs that we've been working on in the past. So one of the ones that I'm really proud of, which is in Jackson County, but is Kessler Park Project. So we had I don't know if you're familiar with Kessler Park, it's in the Northeast. A young boy came to us and he wanted to fish in this park and didn't know how to do that. The park was full of tires and it was not a really safe place and it needed a lot of love. And because Extension has a horticulture and agriculture program through the Master Gardeners, he contacted us. And we got together with Kansas City Parks and Rec, the Missouri Department of Conservation, and we've totally transformed the park. And it's now a safe place. The lake is stocked with fish. They're working on phase 2 of building a sidewalk that goes all around the park. And so this is just one of the things that Extension does that we're really good at. A lot of people know Extension from just teaching classes, and we do tons of that, which is great. And a lot of the classes we teach are around like fall prevention for seniors. And we have, eating from the garden for kids that are in school. We have other nutrition classes that, managing your diabetes and health related programs along those lines. Another, great partnership that I'm really excited about is we partner with other organizations like Truman Habitat for Humanity. So if you get into a home or you get your home fixed up, you often need other services, and to make the whole program more holistic, Extension can come in and offer things like tax assistance. Our tax assistance program this year brought back over $5 million to the Kansas City region for low income and moderate folks and seniors. And so we're really proud of that number. Other things you might need, you might get into a house and you might not know how to garden, right? Or grow your own vegetables. Extension can come in and help with that program. You might be elderly. And like I said, fall prevention and things, or exercise classes, walking with ease. So those are other things that Extension can offer. We also do a lot of work with some of our other nonprofit partners like Arts KC, where we do strategic arts planning and we do asset mapping in a community. Another thing that I think Smithville could be interested in is we have a program called the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. And that's a program where we teach people in the city or the region they're in to become leaders in their own community. How do they connect with their local government? How can they take on a project? We usually offer that course in the fall, and it's about a 10-week program, and the person does a small project as part of the learning of the class. And that project can be as small as a little free library to as large as we've had someone around the state who built a hospice care center in their community because there wasn't one. So they're really, the sky's the limit on when you work with us on programs like that. Some of our partnerships in the region are 30 plus years old with other nonprofits. Like I said, Truman Habitat for Humanity, or the City Union Mission is another one we've had a 30-year partnership with. So, I mean, I could go on and on about programs. I'm going to take a quick breath since I talk quickly and see if you guys have any questions before I.
I mean, that's a very vast and broad range of offerings.
It is, and I think it's important to know that some of our programs are completely free because they're sponsored by federal dollars, right? So we're going to come into a community, especially a lot of our nutrition programs, and there's no charge for that. Some of our programs, there is a fee depending on the service. What don't we do? That's a good question. So anything you can imagine that our land grant university system offers. So that's UMKC, that's S&T, that's UMSL, and of course, Mizzou. Any sort of research-based knowledge we want to be able to bring to you. And so our job is to try to help you solve those problems. So it's not sometimes what we can't offer, it's who else to connect or who else to bring to the table. So, we're not just a convener, we do teach, we do a lot of other things, but we also, because of our long partnership with other organizations, we're really into helping people solve problems. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think of what we don't offer. I mean,
do you all do anything with the arts? Culture, arts?
Yes, we do. We have a whole community arts program. I actually used to be the head of the community arts program, so that's a great question. The program mainly works with municipalities and to help them think about how they can add arts to strengthen their economic and community development. We have a new individual that just started with us, Elena Stevenson, and she is a community arts and placemaking specialist. So, for example, she's working with the Independence neighborhood of Inglewood and helping them put on a new arts festival. It'll be an inaugural arts festival that's in partnership with Truman. So the money raised from the festival will go back to a Rock the Block program. She's involved with some asset mapping in Johnson County. So we're asset mapping all of Johnson County for the Johnson County Arts Council. I'm blanking on all the other projects she's working on, but there's a slew of things that she's doing.
So like if we could get in touch with her and provide her with like the community demographics, would she be able to lead us in a direction that would make sense for like the community's profile in terms of arts?
It would depend on what you wanted to accomplish out of that. Like, are you looking to do a sort of placemaking project where you're trying to draw tourism here? Are you looking to do just a beautification for the people in the community? Are you trying to provide classes that help with, like art therapy or rehabilitation? I mean,
I was thinking, I mean, I'd like to know, how do you make money? Right? Because we're obviously the Economic Development Committee and we want arts, but it is kind of like the cliche, the starving artist. So,
yes.
I'd be interested in talking to someone where, if we were looking for a place to put on shows, right? Like, where I used to live, there were small community theaters, right? And that's where your high school kids could put on amateur theaters. That's where some of your, actors part-time could go and do their craft, right? Small acoustic shows, maybe comedy shows, children's plays, performance art. But how do you pitch that to a property owner in terms of a return on investment? That's where I guess I would need some help, where it's like, if we wanted to pitch that, like, how do we pitch that in terms of like, we want to bring arts to the community and you can also make some money? Because a lot of art is publicly funded, but how do you get the private sector involved?
Yeah, we've had conversations like that, and we can totally come up with Elena and have a more in-depth conversation. I will tell you an interesting fact. A few years ago, there's the Americans for the Arts comes in about every 5 years, minus the blip of COVID, and does an economic prosperity study on the arts in the communities around Kansas City. And a few years ago, they came and did a study in Clay County. And what they noticed, Clay County being a fairly wealthy county, that there was almost nowhere for people to spend money on the arts here. So all of the money that you guys spend on the arts leave Clay County and go to Jackson County.
Go down to the city, I imagine, right?
And so we were just paid through some ARPA funds with Arts KC to do arts asset mapping of Clay County, which we produced, which gave us the exact results we thought we would get, that especially after COVID, that amount of arts infrastructure has gotten even smaller. It's diminished quite a bit. There's been a lot of talk about in the region, Clay County region, about having a performing arts center, like a Kaufman of the North or something like that. And I know that people in Gladstone, and I know that the Clay County EDC would love to have that conversation. So I know there's a lot of people who are really interested in it. One of the difficulties we found in having this conversation is finding someone who will run it. It's not that it won't necessarily make money. It's that, like cities or EDCs, they don't want to be in the business of running a performing arts center, right? That's not what they do. And so that's been one of the hurdles, is trying to attract someone who wants to come up and run the actual center. So the city or the EDC doesn't have to do that themselves. And so that's been one of our hurdles. But we could have a further conversation on that, but
yeah,
and I think there's a number of people in the area that would love to get behind something like that.
Yeah, I mean, old theaters that show old black and white movies. I think all those things add a cultural aspect to a community that we just don't necessarily have here. So those are like the types of things that I would be interested in learning more about. Definitely on the private side, because I don't think we would have, we wouldn't be able to do it. And I don't think anyone's interested in a publicly funded arts center. I think it would be, they would like it to be private, like a private run.
Yeah, or it could end up being a nonprofit as well too. And so then you could have access to other dollars that were out there.
So as like a nonprofit, there might be grants available that aren't available possibly for private sector.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or other types of support, or just historical taxes, or things like that. I mean, yeah.
What have you seen in the way of community gardens as far as to scale? What's the largest you've seen around in the 3-county area?
Well, I mean, off the top of my head, it's not the program that I run, but you've been to the 18th and Broadway garden. And so we have a garden there, and it's been very successful. It's a very large community garden space. It's been going on for years, and the local businesses pitch in and help garden there as part of keeping the garden going and growing. And they work with our master gardeners and our horticulture program, but then they turn around and they donate all that food to the local food pantries.
So is it like a city block, or how big is it?
Oh, yeah, it's easily a city block.
If you
Yeah.
open that book he gave on page 47, they have a list of all the.
Yeah, and
locals.
there's about, I think at the current moment, there's 18 or 19 community gardens within the Clay Jackson Platte area that we are running through the Master Gardeners. Some of those are heritage gardens, so they're growing in an old style, like at Watkins Mill, for example. They're growing how they used to grow back then when the mill was created. And some of them are just wildflowers. We help with the Truman Garden outside the Truman House, and so that's just planting. But a majority of the gardens are producing produce that then gets donated back. I think last year, and it might be in here, so don't be upset if I'm slightly wrong, but I want to say, so this is saying 5,921 pounds of food was donated in 2022. So
nothing really on a commercial scale.
no, we're not doing, no, it's more community based.
And these are mostly public property, I imagine?
Public property, yeah, a lot of times it's a partnership with other nonprofits. So it might be, like the Watkins Mill, a small museum or a plot of land, or it might be with Children's Mercy here has a garden, if you see there. Warden House. We are potentially having a conversation about doing a larger, more commercial initiative with gardening in partnership with UMKC, but it has not happened yet.
Are there tax benefits for private landowners that would use, like, instead of it like you have a vacant lot or something, you just have an open lot, and if you did something like a community garden, are there tax incentives available for that through the state where they're?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's something we could look into. I don't know how I think if you were to give the land away for what you might rent it for towards a nonprofit, you could probably get a donation.
So that's another option then, is maybe you lease that land to a nonprofit that then runs the
Right.
garden.
Yeah. Our master gardeners it's part of our whole education process. So the master gardeners come in, they learn to be master gardeners, but they have to do so many volunteer hours. And they do that at these 19 community gardens and then grow the food.
I'd listen to WHB radio because that's kind of the demographic they hit, is people my age and male. But they talk about an advertisement for a hen house that they have 250 vendors within 150 miles of Kansas City. And I'm just thinking commercial, something beyond a community garden, a commercial garden of some sort that could sell it within the city. So it's beyond the community idea of, well, we're going to donate the food. So
Yes,
is that something UMKC that Mizzou Extension could get into? Or does it
Potentially,
have to be a
what
nonprofit?
we would do is we would probably help you think about the research of what that would look like, right? So like, how would one go about that? Where you might find funding? Doing it for you is probably not something that.
No, I didn't mean,
Yeah.
I didn't mean that. I meant support it. I mean, so if somebody had 5 acres, you could put out a lot of produce, and 5 acres with hoop barns and greenhouses and extend the growing season and.
Right. I mean, it's something we could definitely talk to you about and think about like what that would look like, help you put together a comprehensive plan. But our job's more to bring you the research-based knowledge than to
Right.
actually take something like that on.
I'm a Mizzou grad, so I understand the extension.
Yeah, well, that's great. We love to hear that.
1839, if I remember right, is when Mizzou was founded.
Mizzou, I don't know.
I thought
The
that's when you
Land Grant Act
graduated.
was.
Yeah, that's when I graduated. I was in the first graduating class.
So some of the other things that might be
Thank
interesting,
you.
like one of our programs is called Heroes to Hives. If you want to talk about making money, that we help veterans think about how to have small plots of land, and especially with things like beekeeping, and how they can make those into programs that maybe produce some side money for them as veterans. We have a farm stress program through our workforce development that I also think is really important. Another thing that we are just starting to bring over to the Kansas City side, it's been really strong in St. Louis, is we have a workforce recovery program. And what it does is it helps businesses think about how they can be recovery friendly to people to require more employees. So let's say you're a business, a sheet metal business, for example, and you have a lot of physical labor, and there could be people that hurt themselves and took opioids and became addicted. How would you walk through that process? And so this program helps you certify yourself as a recovery friendly business. It puts in place all those things you need to attract people who maybe have gone through recovery and want to find a safe place to work, and hopefully helps you and grow your employment. Since we know there's a lot of barriers to getting new employees at the moment. So like I said, the list can go on and on. What's usually helpful for extension is if we have an idea of, and this can come through Erica or through Dan, some of the issues that maybe the EDC here or that Smithville is facing, and then seeing if we have solutions that can try to help you guys.
One of the things I think that the town would be interested in is to get someone like a geologist or horticulture to talk about possible like native plants and other plants for drainage. So basically, we all live on a giant clay shelf of topsoil. So almost every neighborhood has flooding issues.
Yeah.
So, but if you look around, it's all grass, right? Even along the areas that are flood prone, it's just, Bermuda grass and whatever. But it would be nice if someone maybe come in and give us some advice on other plants you can grow around flood zones that can help with that, like maybe create those mini marshlands that can suck the water up so it doesn't go into someone's backyard.
We have a whole
Anything.
master naturalist program, which is connected to the master gardeners that could come in and do something like that. We also have a brand new, in addition to our current horticulture staff, we have a new horticulture specialist that's going to be over Clay and Platte County. So that's something that I think we could easily come in and help talk about.
Yeah, that'd be, I think we might actually get a lot of people might show up for that because it's just in my neighborhood, everyone's talking about flooding. It seems like it's a very common
thing. Charge
thing.
of being a master naturalist or a master gardener is you need to come in and have those volunteer hours teaching and educating. And so that would be a really easy,
I know I would.
that's low hanging
definitely
fruit for us.
interested in that.
I'd like
I
to
will
say.
tell you, because like in Hills of Shannon, my husband, when we first moved there, went to the extension and had a full, like they around the pond, we had a whole plan. Wasn't gonna cost hardly anything out of the homeowners. They all turned it down.
Because they wanted grass.
Mhm.
Well, if we can get
But just around the pond, just to keep like it was just a whole, and it was all native stuff.
well, we can all, it could be a tough sell, but for those homeowners that like, do you want grass or do you want to be able to use your yard? So at least we could provide them at least that information and see what they want to do it.
The extension, you should see the meetings my husband had with them. They were so helpful and it was just, they planned out everything.
And there's still a no. Well, that's where we come in, right?
Well, in the
People are
interest-
very attached. Oh, things could have changed in 20 years. Some attitudes I think are changing in terms of environment and cost.
It's a great idea, but back to your point about how do we bring economic development to Smithville? I don't know how that's gonna do that.
Well, I think flooding, you can look at it in terms of like flooding costs money, right? And in terms of, I remember there was a few meetings ago on Owen Street, I believe, and they're also on the list, right? So the way it ties into economic development from my perspective is that there's who keeps that list?
It's in Public Works.
Public Works keeps a list of troubled neighborhoods, right? That's a cost. That means that the city has to spend money to do traditional engineering, right? Because they're not going to go in and plant native grasses. They're going to go in and dig and they're going to create trenches and drains. And so that costs all of us money as citizens. So I think you can kind of
I
connect
agree
it.
with that. It's all gonna come down to priorities.
Yeah.
If we're gonna bring economic development, what's the priority and where's the
Well,
bang for the buck?
And that's a really good point to land on. One of the things extension can do is help you think through those priorities. So if you wanted to have like a work session and we could bring in some community development specialists like myself, and we could lay out all the priorities and talk about what was most important and then kind of boil it down to, here's 3 or 4 of your main priorities. These are 2 low hanging fruits. This is where we can start so that, and that's a sort of process that you could easily bring extension in on and have you help think through that.
Yeah,
So
like that.
we wouldn't be telling you what your priorities are, you'd be telling us, we would just help you work through it and pick the right ones. And so that sort of strategic planning or having a session like that is something that we could offer.
That sounds awesome.
So most people in this room know how to get a hold of me. Damian definitely knows how to get a hold of me, Mr. Bowley.
I think it's probably.
And is Alana Stevenson, I can find her online?
Yeah, you can find her online or you can email me and I can just connect you
Okay.
with her. But if you want us to come up and talk about public art and art options, that's a possibility. I think performing arts is probably one of your better bets when you think about trying to draw tourism and crowds and money. And I think that there's other people that are your neighbors that are also really interested in this. So if I think you could get a group of people together. I know that there's a number of people in Gladstone for years that have wanted something. I know that there's people that sit on the Clay County EDC that are really interested in this. So,
I mean, I've been, like, I go to plays, so it's one of the things that it's not really available in the area, you
Right.
know, and it's something I think definitely is like, people that don't go to see those types of things, like, you don't know what you're missing, like, it's fun and.
but you know, you could have a house that was a playhouse and then it also could show films on the
Yes,
weekends and could
exactly.
have a music venue, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it could be a multi-use space, so it wasn't just for one type of
That's
art.
exactly what I think it would be.
The other
fantastic.
thing that we can try to help people understand is when you go to a play, you buy a new tie, you know, you go get some dinner, right? Like you might have a drink afterwards, right? So the economic development isn't just on the $40 ticket.
Dinner and a show.
Yeah, dinner and a show.
Yeah.
There's gas going back and forth. And so,
People from other areas.
Yes. Mhm.
If a performing arts center-
extensions in Smithville,
Mhm.
we do a lot of programming here. We're here with our 4-H, we're here in the schools. I'm here often, mainly to bike, but you know, I'm here. You know, if you want to work with us more, that's why I'm here at this meeting, is let you know that we have services to offer. You know, we can't do everything, but we'll let you know what that is when it comes up. But we do a lot. And so, yeah, please have us back. Let's have conversations. I mean, this is what we're here for.
Absolutely. Do we want to, I guess we can move on and then maybe convene and figure out another meeting to come back
Mhm.
and kind of, we can maybe figure out the whole work session thing and prioritize.
Yeah, I would love to come up and help with a work session
That would be
and help you guys
awesome.
think through that.
That'd be, is there like for you all, is there a better time of year? Like summer, is that busier for you and it'd be easier in the fall or just whatever?
No,
Okay.
not for the community development people that would help do that.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, we don't run camps and stuff, unlike our 4-H counterparts who are drowning right now.
Right, that's what I was
Camp time
wondering.
And
Yeah.
children sweat and things like that. So yes.
That is what I was wondering.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah.
Do you want to move on to reports then?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys for your time.
Thank
To
you
head
so
out,
much.
To have a
It was
good night.
amazing.
I'm
Thank
sure I'll
you.
see you guys again, right?
Awesome. Yes. Oblivious. Okay. We're gonna do,
You want to do the reports first, or you want me to go?
We can do report. Do you want me to show you how to connect on the Zoom?
Well,
Are
I
you-
mean, I only want to do it when we're ready,
Okay, okay.
so we'll do reports first.
Mhm.
Figure it out.
All right. First report, Chamber of Commerce, Erica.
Okay. New members since the last meeting are Burley's Deli, Attic Storage, and Carter Media. We have a ribbon cutting coming up, ribbon cutting / grand opening for Southern Bank on June 8th from 5 to 7. And then I'm talking to Attic Storage and Kramer Capital as well to do their ribbon cutting soon. After hours, we have Money Matters after hours on July 20th from 4 PM to 7 PM coming up. And then there's actually a multi-chamber after hours that I'm working with Liberty, Gladstone, Excelsior Springs, and Kearney. We're gonna have one big multi-chamber after hours July 18th from 4 to 6, and that will be at Conrad's in Liberty.
What's that date again? I'm sorry.
July 18th. Our next luncheon is June 14th, sponsored by Turner Construction. Our next Rise and Shine is June 7th, 7:30 AM to 9 AM. Come see the new paint color on the walls. That's sponsored by Platte Clay Electric. We're not gonna have one in July, the Rise and Shine, because it would be July 5th. And so with July 4th being the day before, we will be skipping July. And I think that's all I've got.
All right. And then Carol, school district.
Graduation was this past Saturday, I think a little over 230 graduates. And that went really well. Teachers, all of us, are really wrapping up this year. We just finished up most of our EOC testing and are ramping up and kind of preparing for next year, cleaning the school, cleaning out rooms, all of that. I have put together some externships so teachers have a floating professional development day in the summertime. They get to choose. We just give them a long list of here are some options, or they can do their own. And so I put together several. The city is one of them, one stop that they have an option to choose. So basically we bring the teachers in and talk to the different departments. How can we connect what they're teaching in the classroom to what the needs are in the workforce, honestly, is really kind of where I'm going with it most of the time. So we'll do that part in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we do a little unpacking and have a conversation around it. I've got several of those options, including Turner Construction. They're going to do one for us as well. So any opportunities, always out looking for opportunities to help our teachers connect that classroom learning to the real world, because there is a bit of a disconnect there. Yeah, so I will, I am a 9-month contract. I do have extra contract days, but I will be in quite a bit of training over the summer. So, and I'll be at, networking meetings and so forth. So you'll see me and ramping up for next year.
All right.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. We will have a new superintendent that starts, I believe, July 1 when the new school year begins. So July 1, and then also our high school principal. We have a new high school principal coming in as well. So a couple of big changes, but exciting changes. I think we're all really excited.
Just interesting in the shift with the Todd went to North Kansas City and the new superintendent come here, and the principal of North Kansas City went to Platte County. So, yeah. I think we're staying close to home that way.
Yeah.
Yep. Staying in the area. All right. And Alicia?
Yes, so last week or the week before, I forget, Gina and I interviewed a few new committee member applicants, and we have made a recommendation. So once the board process goes through that, I don't see why that person wouldn't be at the next meeting at the end of June. So that's really exciting. We had several downtown events since the last EDC meeting. We had the wine walk, Larson's cruise, Volkswagen car show, and then that same evening there was a hot rod show that started. So we had some really busy weekends, lots of new people in town, new faces. That was really exciting. And Main Street is still working on our rebranding process to kind of get not a new image for the downtown, but some kind of new really travel brochures or things like that. So that's really exciting too. We're still working on that process. We have some really amazing volunteers on that group. So I think that is all I have for Chairwoman's report.
Can you identify when you have weekend events downtown, how much of a bump in businesses get? When I'm downtown and it's Saturday afternoon, I want to go to Nellie's Sweet Shop and get ice cream. But I just didn't know what about the other businesses? Do you have any idea?
That's something that actually Adam is helping us with the Economic Vitality Committee on Main Street, is trying to get some metrics between, from year to year with ticket sales and sales increases for each day, right? We talked about that.
Yeah, Kara from promotions needs to.
Yes.
It would, the info would come from promotions because she's registering everyone. They have all the metrics, so we haven't seen them. But it is something we know that we want. So what you want to do is you want to get a baseline, right? What's your baseline on a regular Saturday? then you have to go back and look at what did we see after the event. And some of that is we need business owners to get involved, right?
Mm.
Like we can only know if they tell us. So if they're not sharing their data, then we don't know.
We try
Right.
to reach out to them, but it's just, and sometimes they're hesitant to share that information. They think it's invasive, which is understandable.
Or if they're keeping track themselves.
Right.
Right? Like, do they even know what they're seeing over their normal business? So it's kind of like a holistic thing that we're still working on.
Most of us should, because like we use the Square cash register. You can just run a quick report. Yep, but it's whether or not maybe they know how, and that's just something again that we can kind of reach out to educate. But for example, my for Not Too Shabby sales, for the wine walk versus the previous Saturday, I think it was like a 90% increase in sales and from one Saturday to the other. So we like our downtown events. It helps
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, I mean, the amazing thing is if you can get those numbers on a regular basis,
Mhm,
that means, you know,
mhm.
you'd see 90% or 50% more for every business. So I think
Exactly.
that's like the end goal is we do great with events, but how do you make it like every weekend is a mini event, right?
Mhm.
Because events take money. You got volunteer time, time is money. So there's resources that have to go into the events. I think the end goal would be on a Tuesday night in the summer, the most exciting thing going on isn't the, alderman meeting or
No offense,
EDC,
guys.
right? I mean, if we walk out tonight, it's like a nice night and it's
Dan's
quiet. We're the most exciting thing going on in the
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah. Well, and to finding a balance with the events or whatever we have down, like something that is really helpful for a boutique may not be the same for the coffee shop or the bike shop or whatever. So trying to get a good balance and a good variety of everything. Exactly.
But that would be the end goal. If people are like, well, what does Main Street do? Like the goal is to make it so that like every summer night, every
Mhm.
weekend is like an event. Like you have tourists, you have people in town, community down there spending money, socializing.
Yeah.
That's the end goal.
Yeah. Yard games outside on the square and musicians or little kids or,
Yeah.
doing a play or a magician or anything like that.
But
would be
it's
amazing.
chess, not checkers. So it's gonna, it's gonna take us a little
Yes.
bit to get there, but that would be the long-term idea of it.
Absolutely.
And going off that in the staff report, I included some information about Replica, and it is this software that we can use to kind of have a larger view of our economic development. It's also a tool for transportation planning and land use planning. So it is a very useful tool. But for this group, we could look at the weekend of Wine Walk. I think I can actually look at it probably later this week, and see what the bump up was in revenue and where people were spending the money. Were they going to stores? Was there a bump in the restaurant sales?
How does that work? How are you all tied in? What's your
So
back end? Like, what's the back end of that?
The
Like,
man.
how is everybody connected?
it is your phone.
Oh, through the phones?
Mm-hmm. It's basically like this thing is gonna be tracking you regardless. So
Interesting.
it's not individual person data. I can't look up Adam Royds. What did he do on Saturday?
Aggregate.
Yes, but
aggregate
it's all
data.
aggregate. In Clay County, they did an agreement with Replica. And a lot of the cities within Clay County partnered in that agreement. Just so we can see where are we getting our revenue from, who's coming into Smithville, and then where are we losing it? So are people going to another county to do clothes shopping? Are they going for restaurants? Like, where is that going? So then we can kind of look at the gaps in our own community. So it's very interesting. So I figured at a future meeting, we could kind of dive deeper into that. And then on the screen is our quarterly dashboard. We are seeing good revenue for our sales tax. We are seeing a lower amount of our use tax, and we kind of just attribute that to more people shopping in person, maybe less online sales. Again, prices have been rising, so maybe people are being more conservative in their spending. So we continue just to be tracking that and lowering our estimates for use tax. Special events, we have 13 scheduled for the year. Business license, we have 612. And I know last time someone had a question about what we had last year. So before renewals, we had 745 licenses. That was at the end of the year. And something to take into consideration, if someone does like contract work, that person has to have an occupation license in the city. So that number is going to change over the course of the year. And then for development,
Can I,
go ahead.
is there any way to break that down? I don't want to be, I don't want to be like too difficult, but I mean,
Yeah.
like you just were like, we got broad-based, so occupational licensing is included in this?
So
Is there any way to
basically,
let us know?
business and occupation licenses are used interchangeably. It's the same thing.
Well, but is there any way to break that metric down?
I could see.
To see like what are actual businesses, what are home, like what's a home business, what's a brick and mortar business, what is an independent contractor?
I don't know if we track it in that way, because we use a system called Encode, but I can definitely check
Like,
with.
even
our
doctors,
finance.
like up at St. Luke's, do the
Mhm.
doctors count? Like, because they have to be licensed through the state through medical boards, is that?
So it would
counted as
just
a-
be the main business account, I believe. I can
Okay.
check. Yeah,
So not each individual medical professional, but just the hospital itself. would
that's what
have
I'm
license.
assuming.
Okay.
But
The
I can
business that they
double
bill
check,
under.
yeah.
I don't, if it's too much, don't worry about it.
Mhm.
Difficult.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they track it. The finance department handles all of that, so I can.
It'd just be interesting to
reach
know
out.
like how many, small independent contractors we might have that don't necessarily operate out of brick and mortar stores, but they're still
Mhm.
doing business. That would just be something interesting to know.
Sales tax, I understand. What's use tax?
So use tax is your online sales. So like if you buy something from Amazon, it's gonna capture on the use tax.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What
So,
about out of state cars?
so out of state cars,
Like Carvana, like, I mean, 'cause I'm just trying to think of what would bring that down. I know over the pandemic, there was like, people were just buying
think it
cars
was-
from like Florida. having them
Right.
Delivered.
I think it was honestly just people were literally spending all of their money
Oh, that makes
online,
sense.
ordering their groceries to their
Oh,
house,
Shopping.
just
Well, no,
clothes shopping.
because if it's in, isn't it, if it's in Missouri, you pay the sales tax online. It's only if it's out of state for the use tax, right?
It's any delivery.
Any delivery.
Yeah, so if you say you got your groceries at Price Chopper, but you pick them up at the store, you wouldn't be paying the use tax, but say you got, I don't know, something delivered from Amazon, then you would pay
Yes.
the use tax.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's out of state, all that is calculated for the use tax as well. So residential, we are still seeing a lower amount, but we will be receiving more permits with Eagle Ridge and Diamond Creek. So those numbers should be going up. And we have a number of completed permits, so that's good to see. And with commercial, there was no change from the year before. And then completed, we've had 2 during this quarterly period. And then some other items, wayfinding signage. So the board did adopt the wayfinding signage and design guidelines that were completed by KMA Design. In the future work sessions, we'll be talking about allocating funds in the CIP plan. So that'll be exciting to get some signage around town so people know where they are. Went over replica, and then some other updates. I know there were some questions about the 110 Smithville property for TIF. It is planned tentatively to be read first reading at the Board of Aldermen meeting on June 20th. So it'll be potentially going to that meeting for first reading, and then there'll have to be a second reading in the July meeting. And the city has received a CID petition for Fairview Crossing North. We're currently in discussions with them, and we'll have more information to come after we have more discussions with them. And something else that happened with the board retreat we had on May 17th was kind of a overview of what the fiscal year 24 budget would look like. And when we were talking about priorities and everything like that, it kind of came up. There's a lot of school pride. We have warrior t-shirts, everything like that. And then we want to start thinking about how can we make more community pride of Smithville as a whole. And we wanted to bring that to this group to see if you guys had any ideas, that kind of goes with tourism, keep it local, those kind of slogans. So we just figured we would bring it up with the EDC. I know we're gonna have conversations with the chamber and we're gonna have conversations with Main Street. So just keeping that in mind.
Y'all don't want to use thriving
Thriving
ahead now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be great timing with the Main Street rebranding to
Yes.
consider kind of morphing that somehow with
Mhm.
everyone's thoughts, but I
Some of those corny and thriving ahead.
mean, we do have corn here, so.
Yeah.
Corny.
Fairview Crossing North.
Ooh, can you hold off for one sec?
Mm.
Because that kind of ties into
Yeah.
Ooh,
my little, oh yeah,
okay.
you picked like the one thing that I used to sing. So
Ah, Good job, Steve.
are you all,
Yeah.
all right, so let me share.
Get away, Adam.
I got the little green, I have a green bar, so that's,
Says you're sharing.
but we're not. There we are.
There we go.
All right, so obviously I'm a little slow on my computers. I'm on my phone. I didn't know what the Wi-Fi situation was, so I just didn't want to slow everything down. So we'd start with the GIS. This was the mapping system that I was telling everyone about that is available on the website. It's pretty neat. I'll just show a couple little things. It's a robust tool. Possible information overload if I try to do too much. I'm just going to show a couple of little tricks that I learned that can help you kind of navigate the zoning and give you an idea of like there's a bird's eye view, kind of like a Google Street View that's tied into it. I mean, do you have another password I could switch? Because
I
it's
honestly-
definitely lagging.
You could do the guest Wi-Fi. We don't get the password, so I don't know what it
Gotcha.
is.
All right, so which guest? Chamber of Secrets,
It is the Smith, it should be City Hall guest.
City Hall guest.
I love that. Whenever I see it pop up, it's so funny.
Would that be our little chamber? Yeah. Of secrets?
I don't know if I got kicked out.
It should be City Hall guest and then it,
I got booted.
okay.
I had to rejoin the Zoom.
Let's say another option, I could just give you a mouse and keyboard and you could drive it there. So if you go to,
I think we're good.
okay,
There we
go.
are. Okay, so you got to do the accept. And then we have our map.
yes, I'm sorry. There's lots going on here. Okay.
So the real cool feature is the zoning. So if you come over here and click, toggle your little zoning. Here is the zoning. So I know, Steve, you're out there kind of recruiting, right? So what I think you could use this for is like, now you can see what see how it says B3? And then down here, it links right to the description of what a B3 zoning is. So that way we're not kind of talking to somebody and selling them on something and then coming back and being like, oh, you know what? Now we have to go to get a variance or we have to ask for a new overlay, right? So in there, B3 general. Yep. So it does that for all of them, which is just, it's pretty cool. So that way you can at least see like, these are our ag areas. We've got the residential zones. This is R1A versus an A1.
All the green is agricultural?
Yeah, most of them are A1, but some are also, I believe, AR, which is different than A1. It's like agricultural, but for just residential purposes. Lots of, there's the AR. So AR is, I think, agriculture residential. And then we have a lot of mixed use opportunities. So there's an R2 right there, R1A. So we have a lot of different, zoning characteristics. So that's why I thought this could be helpful as you're kind of thinking about, well, what kind of businesses would be cool, and you're looking at an area. So, and then I'll just show one more thing so that way we don't get too far in the weeds, but if everyone wants to go and play with it, I would recommend it's a nice little tool. So let's take the zoning off and go back to our regular look. So another thing you can do is get the property record cards by clicking up here on the identify under the navigation panel. So you click that, click here, and now you've got the property record. So now you have a point of contact if you want to talk to somebody. Yep. And then the other thing that you can do is you can tie this in by going up here to tasks, click on the linked maps. Nope, no street view for there. Let's try somewhere
You have to
else.
be on a road or else it won't pull it.
Okay, let's close that and try again. Ooh, there's no data for there neither, huh? Now, let me go to the. And there's also like measuring tools and whatnot. If you wanted to know, they got longitude, latitude down here. I don't know. I wonder if there's
I think
something.
it's because sometimes your marker gets stuck up to where it was before, so you have to like drag it to your new.
Is that my marker? I don't think so. Let me try down a more populated area. Right here, this should link. If not, I'm doing something wrong.
There we go.
Well, it's got booted. No, I got kicked out. You can try it on your own. We don't have to
Yeah,
spend too
it-
much
it
time.
does
It's
work.
basically, it does work. I was using it at home. Because I use it for, if anyone, since I've got my screen up, if anyone's interested in looking at the Main Street business inventory, I just updated it. I need to show it to somebody.
It's riveting, you guys. You should look.
But I use that for my business
Spent a lot of
inventory to
time.
look at properties. So that's the GIS.
What tab do you use to get to that, or is it a tab by itself on the top?
It's under Public Works Department and then
Works.
the Public Works tab.
Okay.
And then I think the next thing we were gonna talk, the website.
Mhm.
So this is something I brought up to Gina and asked if I could show everyone. So we really don't have, we have 3 different websites that deal with development, and none of them. The last time it's been updated was the Smithville Marketplace TIF, and that was 2017. We know that there's more developments going on right now. Like you just mentioned a couple, Eagle Ridge, some others. There's Fairview Crossing, Fairview North. There's the Coffee McBee's going up. And and someone went to one of the meetings, I believe it was over, what's the one going up over possibly by the Lowen, what's that called? Can't remember that name. That's another development, right? But there was, a citizen was like, I wish I knew. Like, I wish there was a way that I knew about this because I'm not in a butter. And then I had to find out through Facebook. To me, that's just, I think we can do better. I think the citizens want to know what's going on. They want to know the development. So I would say, recommend that one of these sites, whether it's on the economic development site under administration, whether it's under the development department under the government, or whether it's even under ours as the EDC committee. Like, I think any one of those spots would be a good place to put something. And then I have like an example of like what I think would look nice and would be a good UI. So like the user interface. So I just did a little PowerPoint here real quick. And this is something like I would take this on and work with the city. So that way it's not an extra work for you all, because it does take a little bit of tedium to like do this stuff here. So like, this is just our EDC website, but try to imagine it could go anywhere. So this is for Fairview North Shopping Center, and these they can be larger or smaller, depending on how much you're gonna put on the page. But basically, all they'd have to do is if you wanna look at the image, it would basically, you click the image and it brings you to the GIS map. So now we're promoting the GIS map because I imagine taxpayers paid for this tool, correct?
Mhm.
So they should probably use it, right? They want to get a return on their investment. If, the only people using the tool are city employees and like developers, I think more people should know that this tool is available to them because it's, taxpayer funded. So you click on the little schematic, it'll bring you to the GIS. And then here's the little kind of, see how the view of it, it's got a little bit of a view of what it's going to look like. And that's like the overlay. So you see, here's what it looks like now. This is what the developer wants to do. And you click that and it would bring you to the pertinent meeting. Right? So that way they can come in and actually look. Right?
Mhm.
And I don't know, I think this would just, visibility. I know you had mentioned something about, whether it's private or not. I have no idea how that works, but this is all from public
Yeah,
info.
no,
you know.
so I had a meeting with our development department just to kind of talk about everything. And what we came up with a plan. So we'll probably have it on that economic development page where Marketplace is currently sitting, and we can definitely link, it from the EDC committee page as well, just to get more traffic there. And I love the idea of linking it to the GIS and using the agenda link, so then that they have all the information they need to learn more about the project. So we would include more of the commercial side of things on our economic development page. And then we have a new residence page on our website, and that's where we would probably highlight more of our residential. So then people know, hey, I'm looking at moving to Smithville. What do you have in the area? And obviously we'd have kind of a threshold. If it's only like 2 homes, we might not put it on the website, but if it's over 10, then that would kind of be the threshold that we would put on there.
How do y'all feel about that type of UI? From my experience, people like to click on boxes and images. They don't like to just click on blue worded links. And plus, if you put like the link here, and this is just from my experience doing like information management and having to do a lot of these as projects at work. Like in SharePoint, how do you get people to look at stuff? Create buttons. That's all we do. We instead of like having a tiny little long link, make a button.
And now we
people are
can
like,
make
"Ooh,
buttons on our
buttons are fun."
website. Updated.
But it's also, if you look at the size of the link, right? That's a large link.
Intimidating.
Well, it's intimidating, but it clutters your page, right? You want clean stuff. You want to direct the person to where you want them to look and get rid of all kind of the noise. So that's why I'm a big fan of like links embedded into things. Just a thought. And I think that was it, but it sounds like it's something that is feasible possibly. I just think it would be pretty nice. And then on my own, for me and Alicia, and Erica and Carol, can we get a link for Main Street on our EDC page
So
or no?
for the Main Street.
Yeah, like see up there, that's the actual that's the EDC page. If we could it'd be nice if we could get in on that too.
Get in a little
Yeah,
action.
we get a little love on the EDC page, the
Yeah.
link to the Main Street page.
And for all these like website updates, I will have to do those, but if any of you have ideas or want it to be a certain format, you can definitely send it to me. I just have to have my own.
I mean, is this gonna
login for
add,
that.
how much extra work is this gonna add for you all though? Would you like for us to take it on and then just send it to whoever does your web? So that way you don't. have to-
I do the websites
Okay.
for those pages. Yeah.
I know, I don't want to be giving
Yeah.
extra work to you.
No, I
This is
think
something
it's-
that like, I could do for you and then just give it to you to like clean it up and then put it on there so you don't have to do all the work.
I think if you guys want to, or if you want to put together just a document that has it all, and then I can just plug it in, that works. And then once we get in the routine of updating it, it's just gonna be a normal part of the
Well,
process.
you let me know, like,
Okay.
I see us, we're here to support y'all, not to give you more work, right? So a point of a volunteer organization is we're free labor. So, I just want you to know that if it's something that you're like, I don't really have time to be doing this,
Yeah.
100%. I'm
Any
down to
help helps. So if you want to send something that works, if not, I will get it done. So
Okay, I guess we'll just
Yeah.
follow up then.
yeah.
Awesome.
Before I get done, can I just show everyone what's going on downtown real quick? Since, downtown is part of the EDC, I think we should
Yes.
share.
Spent a lot of time on it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's something, all right. Okay. let's close. Okay, so this is what we call the downtown business inventory. I can give this to anybody that wants it. If, I don't know why you'd want it. You obviously don't have a lot going on. That's fine. But so this is basically, I kind of update this quarterly. So this is every business in our little downtown area, what we consider, yes,
I would love to have access.
Isn't that
to this.
awesome?
okay.
Yeah, this would just be helpful for me as far as community contacts for the school
Mhm.
district.
Okay.
For what I'm doing specifically, it would be wonderful. I have a really great list that I had started, but
I can
I'm
send it to
sure
you.
there are gaps.
Yeah, I
so
can send
love
this
it.
to anybody that wants it. Everything here is what I might do though, I have to check with the phones because some of those were given personally to our, so that I might take away, but the websites will be there. The emails are it's all public. Like that's how I found it is on websites and Manta and Yelp.
I spend a lot of time tracking that information down. So if you've done it for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the highlights are just for Main Street reporting. We have to do like quarterly reports where we have to like talk about new businesses possibly coming online. So that's why, I don't know if it's a secret with Nellie's or whatever. I guess there's been a change of ownership. The Cornwell might be coming on soon. The brew pub, that's what's being built by the garage. So I highlight the hospitals for the possible TIF. And then we have somebody who moved into One Town North Bridge that's looking for ideas. So those are just highlighted for me for the Main Street part. But I wanted to show everybody is just, this is the pivot table. So I don't know if everyone's familiar with a pivot table. What a pivot table does. Does everyone know? Okay. So basically it's just a pivot table from there. So in my categorization, we did generals and we did subtypes, right? Because like with you, and us like business licensing, obviously I have a problem. Might be borderline OCD or something. But like one type of thing is not enough. I'm like, we need subtypes. So this is this is based off the general type. So as you see, we do have housing, the apartments, condos, new ones going in. But if you look, really, it's that professional services. If you see, that's the real big one. So that's when we're talking insurance, accounting, lawyers, financial services. Those are all coded under professional services. So we have more white collar professionals than we do consumer services, which is yoga, fitness, wellness, hair, nails. And then obviously food and beverage, that's everybody. So when you look at food and beverage, that's Nellie's, Cornerstone. So it's not necessarily restaurants, it's anything that kind of has something to do with food and beverage. But if you come in here and you move the general over to the sub, then you can look at all the subcategories.
Wow.
So we do have vacant lots. We do have some vacant buildings. So basically like when you break down those professional services, accounting, there's accounting, legal services, right? So those are all under the larger category of professional services, but then you can get in if you want to look at the sub counts. Oops, what happened to my screen? But so if anyone wants this, all right, so Carol, do you want a copy? Does
Thank you, Adam.
anyone else want a copy? Kelly wants a,
I would like a copy too.
do you want a copy?
Yeah.
Send it to me.
Yeah.
I'll just send it out to everyone. If you don't want it, just delete it.
You can just send it to me and I'll send it out.
You can forward it.
Yeah. just-
Updated generally quarterly. That's the best I can do. If I have to do that, if
beautiful.
I have to do it more than quarterly, I'm not gonna do it. You'll see me running down the street, running for the hills. So quarterly, I try to get in there. Oh, the one thing I forgot to show, let me show one more thing so that way you know what you're looking at if you're gonna go play around with it, just real quick. So what I've done is I've embedded property cards into the column. So not an attachment, it's an embedding. It's a little bit different. But basically you just click on this PDF and you can open it. And you're gonna get that. So, yeah,
Where has he been all our life?
it's all right. I mean, well, there's better tools to do stuff like this that can it takes a lot of time. This is just, we're kind of in Main Street here. We're just the Rebel Alliance. We're just grinding it out with, we got no money. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Got it.
But also you can look over here. You can see I've also got the appraisals. So you got the assessed value, the appraised values. So just there's just stuff you can look at. So that's it. I'm done.
Amazing. Roles and responsibilities? Okay, do we just want to kind of go around the group first, maybe, and see what everybody would be interested in, if we'd want to partner up or do something individually? And then kind of see what everyone thinks from there?
Sure.
Okay, Kelly.
I wasn't the last meeting.
Just
So
anything you want to do, I think.
Yeah, so kind of from our the strategic plan or the comp plan, I can't
Yeah,
remember whichever one, but
comprehensive
that
strategic
kind of
plan.
laid out the items that they would like for that would fall under the scope of the EDC. So reaching out to potential businesses or arts type things, or so reaching out to potential businesses. Okay.
I've got you covered, Madam President.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate. Is there a spreadsheet for it?
No, but if you go to the comprehensive strategic plan, page 72,
Page 72.
is where they start with the matrix. So, actually it's page 71. That's the title page. So 7.0 is the implementation matrix. Basically, I think what it basically is this is the guideline for us to say this is what the community wanted. And you just kind of go in, if you see something that interests you, I think pick it. And then, or you could even do a region based off the map. Like if you didn't want to pick a business sector, but you wanted to pick a geographic area, maybe, I know, Kelly, you're downtown already, right? So maybe that's something you want to do. So I think that's the idea is whether you want to do an area or a specific sector, but we should probably try to, delineate the responsibilities, divide
Right.
and conquer.
So we're not all duplicating our efforts and calling
Exactly.
the same place.
Yeah.
And I will say too that the person that we have recommended to add to the EDC has a lot of experience with this type of thing. So if
What type of thing?
with reaching out, business, yes, the data that would be maybe required, the best types of information to present to a potential business to come to town, they would know, the high level numbers or whatever would be most beneficial to provide to those places.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can go
Tourism's
ahead
another
and,
one, if
yes.
that's another pillar, right? So you got tourism, you got housing, you got economic development. I mean, I know what I want to do. Do you want to just start with me?
Sure,
And
Adam,
then
go
If
ahead.
anyone wants to scrap about it, we get scrappy. No, I'm joking. If anyone wants to help, obviously I'd be glad to have help. I think I would like to take a look at industrial and start sending out stuff to the local industrial associations. We don't have a big industrial center, but I think if we could find something that is high tech manufacturing, I think that's kind of a force multiplier for a community, because those are usually really high paying jobs, and we can coincide that with the real world learning program, right? Where we can even possibly promote for businesses you want to come here because we have students that are already, they've decided they're ready to get into the workforce, skilled trade apprenticeships,
Mhm.
create that kind of funnel for a business. So that way they never have labor shortages. I think there's a tie in there. And then obviously from talking to them, I think I'd like to take a shot at the arts. So I've never been artistic myself. I'm more of a right-brained analytical type, and also like an athlete. Yeah. And I was always into like athletics and data. But my daughter is like not athletic and very into art. So I'm like, that's something, I'd like to see for kids that are not in sports, right? I think those of us who were athletes have to recognize that to a certain degree, we get it all, right? Like the communities give us what we need. We get padding, we get fields, we get new clubhouses. But then you look over at the kids who maybe want to be in the band or they want to do the play and drama. And they're kind of like, you're on your own. So I'd like to bring something like that so that those kids and those adults, like some people might have a day job and then they want to play in a garage band, right? Well, maybe they can get a venue, or people that, I had a friend who I worked with that was in a play. It's called Pajama Party. I don't know if anyone's seen it, or the Pajama Factory. But we were invited. He's like, hey, come see me in a play. And then here's this guy I worked with at the Department of Veterans Affairs, and he's up there in his pajamas and he's singing. But he's really into it. And I'd like to take a shot at that if that's okay with the team.
Do we want to see if anybody wants to pair up as well? I mean, as long as
Wants
it's
to
just
jump
2
in.
people, then we don't have to worry about quorum or anything either. Okay. So Steve or Carrick?
I would actually, since I wasn't at the last meeting, would like to go back and do a little more research on
Sure.
this to see where I'd fit in. And also, since you have this other person coming in,
Yes.
that may be a good fit for maybe explaining more things or have,
Yes,
better
yes.
ideas.
Good
I
call.
don't even know if this would be worth putting off until the next time so we can do even more research. I don't know.
Yeah, we can,
Cause I don't know
we'll table
exactly
your
where,
decision.
yeah,
Yes, I think that's good.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm more on the business development
Business,
side.
yeah.
That's been my experience the last 20 years.
Okay.
So I'm not bashful about making calls. Now you asked me to put a lot of data together, and I need somebody more nerdy than I am.
Okay. Maybe Kelly could be your nerd since she wants to do business outreach. Okay. And then I'm interested in tourism and arts. So I think those kind of go hand in hand. So we can pick each other's brain. Adam?
Sure.
I don't know if you all want to do anything or you
Yeah,
just,
I don't think the ad hocs, they already have their own
Yeah.
kind of, I think this is more for us than the ad hoc members.
so we can just pick your brain here and there if we need
I
to.
feel like both Erica and I, we continue to work on the tourism piece.
Mhm.
And that's just innate in what I used to do, what she's currently doing.
Is your microphone on?
I thought it was.
Oh, there it
I'm
is. It's just too
not-
far.
Not close enough, sorry.
That's okay.
So. And I know there's another piece on here too that talks about strengthening community relationships, and that's something that I will continue to do as
Cool.
in my role with the school district and trying to make sure that we're all working together, because there are, things that make that more difficult sometimes. So, I'm trying to be that bridge.
Awesome.
Yeah, Carol, I agree with you. There's a piece in here. It's called strengthen partner relationships, and it's not only just within the city, but it's outside the city. And I serve on a couple boards that allows me to do that. Not only the Clay County Extension Board with Erica, but so I would love to work with you on that and kind of partner and just continue to strengthen those relationships, partnership.
Awesome. Perfect.
That sounds great.
And Carol, I'll trade you a business inventory for a connect in the arts at the school. Because
Absolutely.
I have no idea really about arts, so I'm gonna need somebody to guide me, and maybe if they have contacts,
Well,
like
and-
that's,
and
I'm gonna need the networking.
He
I think.
does. They do.
Okay.
This is our first year ever having a Blue Star Award winner in our theater department.
Nice.
And my daughter was a theater. She was an actress, singer. I know the band, I know the choir director. Yes.
Okay, yeah, if you could
absolutely, I will help you in
me
that
network
area.
with that, because I want them to know as well that this is something that the EDC is looking at, is to to bring more arts
Right.
into the community.
And there is, of course, the Gladstone Theater in the park. I'm not sure if you've been there, but of course, that's what I think when he was mentioning Gladstone, there's an interest in the Northland, most definitely. We just don't have a good place for it. So
Mhm.
I think that you're really, you're gonna have a lot of people behind you.
So, okay, how do we want to make that our next step then?
Will the new person be at the next EDC meeting?
Hopefully, yep, I don't see why not.
That have to go through the next Alderman meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be at the June 6th.
Okay.
So, I mean, maybe we can all just kind of make a list mentally or on our own to bring to the next one and then just kind of finalize what everything's gonna do. And then hopefully we can 100% get started on, get the ball rolling on some things at the next EDC meeting. I think maybe to be safe, we should say just two. Mm-hmm. So that if you, Steve, and the new person,
I think you just have to be careful with any other communication, right? Because
yeah, for the quorum, if it's a group.
That person is better with him on the developer side.
I think
Because their
three,
quorum's 5, so
so
I
three
think
would be
3
okay
would be
then.
okay.
Yeah, I think that's all right.
but you gotta be careful about sending an email to 2 other people, right? About
Mhm.
something. So I think as long as we do that and make 3 you can, but if like she said, if all of a sudden like you 3 are communicating and you forwarded it to me and her and we're like, what are your thoughts?
Then it's a chain.
That's
that
now we've
goes-
created a quorum and now we've violated sunshine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think what a good thing to do just to avoid any issues as well is just have, maybe we could add it to the report section of just, general updates.
Mhm.
And so then each group can report out. So then that just avoids any kind of sunshine issue with communication.
I think that's great. Okay, well, if everybody's good with that, then I am. Do we have any other general updates from anyone?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So little online conversation percolating, and I don't remember what platform it was. I think it was Next Door Neighbors about Aldi.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, that's an interesting idea. Wouldn't an Aldi be a nice fit for Smithville? So I tracked down the real estate person for Aldi, and he was very gracious, but just said that they don't have any plans to expand further in the Northland than where they've been already, which could be a comment that one, you talk about tracking the sales tax. They know who's coming through their store and where they're from.
The zip code and all that,
Yeah, so if there's not enough Smithfield people going to an Aldi,
right?
then they're seeing there's not enough interest. So that's one possibility. He didn't say that,
Mhm.
but that's one possibility. The other possibility is, post COVID, that their store sales aren't up to their standards on their current stores, so they would be concerned. They might know how many Smithville people are going to the Aldi's, and they would see an addition up here as a bleed off from their other stores. So, but he kept the door open, it's somebody to ping
Awesome.
at some point in time in the future, but it's seemed like the comment made by the person was a genuine interest. So I thought, okay, well, that seems to fall under our purview. I'll track it down.
It's a good idea.
So I'll continue to do that. Some of them, you just read and you shake your head and you go on. But the other one, we spoke briefly about office space the last few meetings. So I did call St. Luke's. I tracked down the person responsible for, I don't know if he would say he's extra space, but he addressed the questions. St. Luke's might have that upstairs. I don't remember, it was on the 3rd floor. About 3,000 square feet. They could rent that out if it was medically related. And it did not require removing the medical equipment already installed in the space.
What kind of equipment did she say?
Well, it's like when you walk into a hospital room,
Oh,
it's all the connections and everything. So you can't go in and do a full remodel.
and the only thing I'm thinking is we have like some mental health counselors that's technically medical, but they're not gonna want
Ah.
all that stuff in there.
The ER,
Get like a big
It's the
picture
opposite,
and
that's
hang
the
it over
opposite
the-
of relaxing.
yeah,
Just giant canvas over the connector.
the ER, they actually hope to see that in use again, but he had no idea on a time frame. It's outside of his decision-making purview.
As an emergency room?
Yes.
That would be amazing.
I told him I thought the community would certainly embrace that. But,
As we grow, there's more of a need.
right,
Yeah.
I mean, because the next closest ER is Berry Road, yeah. So but he said, well, that could be 3 to 5 years. Well, it might be quicker than that, but he kind of put that caveat out there.
I'm wondering, I mean, you brought up the Aldis. We only have one grocery store. That's
Plus Dollar General.
that, we have one grocery store.
Well, but you can buy food at
Can't get
Dollar
any
General.
fresh food though.
Yeah.
You know what I
It
mean?
depends on what you want. They have a grocery section.
They actually did just redo the one in Trimble and added fresh food.
Okay,
Yeah.
kind of, but what I was gonna say is that's a threat. Like when you only have one grocery store for 10,000 people, something happens to that price chopper, you know, forget going out of business. What if it's like a lightning strike? Who knows, right? Or there's a huge leak and it's, you know, it's shut down for 2 weeks for renovations. That means everybody has to either go to the Dollar General or they gotta go back down to Barry Road. So I like the Aldi's. Is that the only grocery store we
Trader
think
Joe's.
would be okay? Well, isn't there like a Sweet Pea too down
Sprout.
a Sprouts, right? So you've got like
Or Green
organic
Acres, yeah.
Sprouts, there's Hy-Vee. I mean,
You'd
do you think it would
almost
be-
Need something more, I'll call nichey.
Specialized.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sprouts would be, I
specialized.
think that's,
Aldi's might fit into that because you're not gonna bring in another Hy-Vee. There's not enough
Yeah,
people,
that's true.
traffic here.
Sprouts is organic, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what Sprouts is. It's like a Whole Foods knockoff, I think, right?
You know, when you see where Whole Foods and Trader Joe's go, I don't think Smithville fits the demographics.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why isn't there a Trader Joe's north of the river?
Anywhere north. Yeah.
There's not one north of the river.
I think they like a much higher economical. Yeah.
And so if they're gonna go Trader Joe's work to consider north of the river, it's not gonna be.
Do you think it's
Smithville.
more economics or population size?
Probably both.
Cause I mean, our median household income is $90,000.
And the traffic that drives through here that might stop is probably not a Trader Joe's type customer.
That's what I was saying
I
is
would never drive that far
I
from
mean,
Trader Joe. There's no appeal to me.
maybe they just need a market analysis. Maybe they don't know. They just, they might assume that everybody north of the river is like a rural struggling.
I think they're smarter people than that,
Yeah.
Adam. I think they've already done their studies. And they may have one planned north of the river and we just don't know about it. I haven't contacted them.
Okay.
I think an Aldi's is more likely to come here.
I mean, anything I
than-
think would
than
be
a
good.
Trader Joe's.
Any type of backup grocery store, I think is a real good idea.
There's another, you know, I don't mind contacting Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, but and Sprouts, I don't know anything about Sprouts. I'd like to have a hen house out north of the river. They're not even out north of the river now. They've
They
closed
their
one on 64th. So.
That's another grocer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Local.
I saw a Price Slasher, I think, on the way down to Lebanon. Like, has you ever heard of that?
Price,
Oh,
price cutter.
Price Cutter.
It's price cutter. Yeah.
Starting to get down into the hills.
Like
Adam.
Springfield. Yeah.
Lebanon. And
Yeah.
I was just like, whoa. Price Cutter? I was like, no one got sued over this? What's going on?
Save a Lot would be another one, you know, but that's a very discount. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
the update I have.
Okay. Anybody else?
We had a meeting with Melissa Wilson and she mentioned the need for an urgent care.
That's right.
So when you're doing business outreach, that might be something to look into, especially since St. Luke's
With the St.
mentioned
Luke's, yeah.
medical.
Now, don't they have an urgent care in the evening?
They do, but I think they could use more. I think they only have the capacity to see like, I want to say it's like 7 or 8 people. I don't think do they?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if they do urgent
think-
care or if it's just general practitioner.
That's my understanding on St. Luke's. It's like 5.
I don't know that they do. But we could check, but I think that would be awesome to look into for the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's all, there any new business? Motion to adjourn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
And enjoy.
I appreciate it. Thank you.